money today is now cheaper to borrow.
If you are borrowing money, you can now borrow more, or if you're borrowing the same, it's now cheaper to borrow money, which makes the property market an even more sexy place to invest.
This is Taking Care of Business, and I am joined by Lewis Alsop.
So I think there's a lot of people having them conversations. How can I cash out but stay in?
They do say sometimes smart people take chips off the table sometimes.
If you enable people to buy properties, you enable more buyers. And if you enable more buyers, then you're going to enable more transactions.
Massive part of the marketplace. 65% of most of the deals at the minute are actually happening in off-plan sales.
Everyone's moving here, everyone's looking for a house, and it's just active. I now own the record for the most expensive one bed ever rented in Dubai.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's been 433 days since the very last interest rate rise. Money today is now cheaper to borrow. I am Carl Alsop, the CEO of Alsop & Alsop. This is Taking Care of Business, and I am joined by Lewis Alsop, who is the chairman. Welcome, Lewis.
Thank you. You call me Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman to you. Money is now cheaper to borrow. So
Yes.
what does that mean to the Dubai property market?
Basic terms, if you are borrowing money, you can now borrow more, or if you're borrowing the same, it's now cheaper to borrow money, which makes the property market an even more sexy place to invest.
Okay, so interest rates come down. Most people think, oh, my payments are going to be less. Okay, what do you think impact that might have to property prices? Because a very common thing we hear very often is prices are coming down, or I will wait for prices to come down.
Yeah.
If money's cheaper to borrow, what do you think might happen over the coming months and year ahead?
I think the first thing is anyone has said in the last 5 years, I'm waiting for the market to come down. I think they'll be kicking themselves now because I think there's been so many multi-millionaires made from property. The key trend for mortgage rates is if you look when lockdown happened, people don't really talk about this a lot, but when lockdown happened, when they came out, what happened was they actually decreased the interest rates and increased the loan to value, making it more affordable for people to buy houses. If you enable people to buy properties, you enable more buyers. And if you enable more buyers, then you're going to enable more transactions. The only caveat with Dubai at the moment is there's just not a lot of ready property available. And that's where this pressure on the market, it's continuing to happen.
Where I think we'll see the most activity is actually the average buyer, let's say, was buying at 4.5 to 5 million dirhams. That was actually pushed down from, I think, 11 interest rate rises over the course of a year and a half. That actually ended up people being able to only afford to borrow 3 million or 2.8 million. So the massive difference on affordability. I actually feel because when interest rates come down, you'll start seeing a little push in prices. And I think we'll probably see another interest rate decrease between now and the end of the year. So anyone sitting on their hands and thinking prices might come down, right now, today, 1st of October 2024, there's a very good chance we'll be talking about prices being in a higher state when we get into the new year, which leads us on very nicely to, we're in Q4. How many weeks until Christmas?
Santa visits in 12 weeks.
Oh, it's like 12 weeks of Christmas.
12
That's
weeks.
wild.
What is it? Is it 10? What's the song? 10 weeks of Christmas?
12 days. 12 days.
That's a lot. In my house, it's the 12 weeks of Christmas. Put the tree up next week.
So we've just finished Q3, and that's actually why we're doing today's podcast. We're actually reviewing everything that happened in the last quarter. Typically, throughout the course of the year, not, I'd say, slower months in Dubai, but where a lot of people leave the country, go on holiday.
I do believe it's seasonal. Yeah. Honestly, I used to have this state of mind that Dubai isn't seasonal. And as the company gets bigger and you see the volume of transactions happening, you can see the state that the fact that if people are out of country, it's not that deals don't happen, but some people want to be in country for the transaction to happen. So I do think in the summer months, probably real estate agents have to work harder, and I think owners have to either accept potentially a little bit lower on what they're looking for or wait a bit longer for the market to return. And that's shown in our activity. I think I've seen Matt Walters, our managing director, sent a message out this morning saying we've just broke the record for the most amount of viewings booked in a single week.
Wild. Absolutely wild.
Shows seasonality.
We're actually speaking to one of our clients, one of our corporate clients, and where he buys multiple properties. He called me up this was the beginning of September. He said, Carl, I'm really struggling to agree prices on properties at the moment. And I said to this person, I said, look, the honest truth is that probably sellers are waiting for things to move a little bit more. Yeah. And maybe you're going to have to pay a little bit more than what you think you should be today. So I think as we're going into October, Q4 for us, and I think to be honest with the industry, Q4, Q2 are extremely busy. So we expect to be a busy quarter. I did see somewhere this morning, by the way, that they expect a further 40,000 units to launch in the final quarter of this year.
Yeah, I think the issue is they can launch all these units, but I've just seen Ryan Vatikas, who is our one of our senior guys in Tel Gaff, Harmony 3 has just been delayed again.
Really?
How many developments have been delayed? Every development I've ever purchased in every one of them has been delayed, and I accept the delay happened. So it's great that people say, when someone says to me today, oh, it's going to hand over in Q4 2025, you know what I'm thinking?
Add 9 to 12 months at least.
Q3 2027.
Yeah.
That's basically very, especially for the master projects. But you talked before about the summer. I mean, the perfect example is my property. So I now own the record for the most expensive one bed ever rented in Dubai.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But there is a backstory to that. I put it on the market for 2.5 months, and I put it on for rent, went to the agent. Week 1, nothing. Week 2, nothing. Week 3, nothing. This was in the middle of August.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know, you're not doing your job. And he's like, no, I'm calling people. Everyone with money is out of country. We got to the middle of September, and viewings just started booking like wildfire on it. We had 6 viewings in a week, 4 viewings the day after. Then we had 3 offers and it rented. And I just looked, and that's when the seasonality conversation I said before is, wow, people with money probably in Europe in the summer.
Well, during the summer months, 22% of our total staff during the summer months were off.
Wow.
So that's for us.
Yeah.
What would that be like for other businesses? So real estate, Q3, you got some numbers for us with regards to what happened, some highline numbers. We've got the AllSup and AllSup data. We've also got the Dubai Land Department data. Just a caveat for anyone listening or watching, a lot of these figures from the DLD will normally have transacted 3 months before they're published.
Yeah.
So deals that probably would have happened in early June time, and now they're public data, they probably would have transferred. So there's always a bit of a lag. Our data, on the other hand, is typically...
Our data's live, yeah.
Is live, yeah.
So I have data and stats from our marketing team, and they send them across. We review them and discuss why and what the happenings were. So interesting ones are still UK buyers. 24% of all of AllSup and AllSup buyers are from the United Kingdom.
I'd love to know if that's Labour government related, people coming into country. Maybe we can get the data, people to know how many of them UK buyers are actually new to country, how many are still within Dubai.
You speak to people that move. I mean, obviously our kids go to British schools, British RAN schools, and anyone that goes there, the main thing, believe it or not, weirdly, is not money, it's safety, especially in the UK at the moment. I think that's such a massive part of kids going there. And then you've got India with 12% and France with just over 5% as our general statistics. Obviously, we've got a lot of nationalities underneath that. That's showing only 30%. There's a lot of other nationalities there.
What really struck me is from all the transactions we conducted, there was a 7.5% increase in buyers buying with cash this year versus last year. Now, that obviously plays into hands. We've got higher interest rates. People probably don't really want to pay, high repayments. But I mean, we always say about using leverage to kind of speed along your investments. I wonder now interest rates are starting to decline, whether we'll see that swing a little bit back into more mortgage buyers as we go into 2025.
I think so, but I think you need to remember Dubai's created lots of millionaires, not dirhams, sterling. And the reason I say that, I said before about them people that have said, I'll watch the market 5 years ago. If you bought a house for 5 million 5 years ago, there's a good chance the house is probably worth 15 now.
Yeah.
5 years ago, 12 million.
So a huge amount of equity in properties.
There is so much cash in the base of Dubai of wealth, which is frightening. So, I've watched friends that have moved into villas in Jumeirah Golf Estates that don't even work at AllSup and AllSup. And I watch these guys and they put their life savings into a house at 5 million and now it's worth 11 or 12. And I'm like, wow, you're a millionaire from living in Dubai and just owning a house. And I think there are a lot of people that are probably using that cash. And one of the things I'm seeing people do is actually hedging their bets. They're selling their big house and they're buying another house for cash.
So downsizing.
So downsizing or changing area. So let's say, for instance, they live in Jumeirah Golf Estates.
Yeah.
They might say, cool, okay, I can buy the same style house, use all the profit that I've made, buy it cash and live in the ranches 3.
Okay. So migration out of area, basically people reducing the loans, the exposure they've got on properties from basically capitalising what they've made.
I think, if you've done that, you're made for life. You never have to worry about rent again. You never have to worry about your house is paid for. So I think there's a lot of people having them conversations. How can I cash out but stay in?
They do say sometimes smart people take chips off the table sometimes.
My chips are on the table. Yeah.
You're always on the table.
On the
So the average sale price for Allsop and Allsop, which is up actually a little bit from a year ago, is 3.75 million. We see the, really 3 million to 4 million mark is probably a very highly transacted price range in our business.
Yeah.
But that actually shows a 12% increase in property prices from our internal data year on year. It's probably not a million miles away from really probably Dubai-wide data.
3% a quarter, I think, is like what Dubai has probably been at for the last year or so, which is incredible for property owners. I mean, the worrying thing is salaries not going up at 30% a quarter to match that. But I think that goes back to even though prices have gone up 12%, a lot of people are sitting on a lot more cash, which we talked about a minute ago. So even if the salary's not gone up, their down payments can increase and their ability to purchase maybe cash has increased. So
actually, we had a conversation literally before coming onto this podcast, and the person we're speaking to said, I'm speaking to loads of buyers in a minute, but what I'm finding is nearly every person I'm speaking to is saying, I need to sell a property in Dubai to buy on. So we might actually find now there's lots of equity in properties, you'll find more chain building, more people having to sell to then buy on, which is a good thing.
The only worry with that is Dubai doesn't facilitate that at the moment.
Yeah.
In the UK, you have a chain of buyers, the lawyer enacts the transaction, the money goes to the lawyer, the other money goes to the other lawyer, and vice versa. Here, and this is one of the things we spoke to the land department about, is you need to sell your property, clear the manager's check, wait for that title, then do the next one, and that might take 2 or 3 days, and then the next one.
So treat them as two separate transactions, not link them together.
Which unfortunately shouldn't happen, but does happen.
We've also seen a 3.2% increase volume in transactions year on year. So there's been growth year on year in terms of transactions happening. Villa townhouses, we've actually seen a 5.8% decrease on transactions that have happened quarter on quarter. That probably plays in quite nicely, really, with confirming the summer months being a little bit quieter than the previous quarter.
Yeah, I think that's a given. I think, but again, we talk about in every podcast we're on. As soon as the roads are busy, buyers are back out. The schools are full again, which means that there's activity, and that's shown this week in our business. But
what it does say though is 25.7% increase in prices for villa townhouses in the last 12 months, year on year. 25% increase. So we're seeing more increase in prices in villa townhouses. Obviously, there's a lot less in Dubai villa townhouses versus apartments.
If you think about it, you launch a tower, it's 400 to 500 units. One villa in that plot is probably 10 villas. So there is an inherent lack of ready. I mean, the perfect example is Arabian Ranches. We've got, I think, the highest market share in the area for sold properties. My ranches guys are saying, I can't get anything online because by the time they're viewing it, there's a desperate amount of buyers that want the Arabian Ranches that will view it before it goes online. So there's just not enough properties to service these buyers.
What was the stat? And again, this is more for anyone listening or watching, of the amount of properties at the moment that we are selling before even going online. So obviously there's a huge demand of buyers we've got on the main list.
68% of every transaction we do. And
2/3 of sales we do
not make it online.
Yeah.
You got to think about how a really good agency works. A really good agency is drilled, and their team are drilled that a listing will come on once the Form A is signed, the seller contract. We're not waiting for photos. Really, we're calling every buyer on our database. The good thing about Allsop and Allsop is we register 5,000 people a month in our systems. That's buyers, sellers, landlords, tenants. So if you're a good agent, you're sitting on here with a goldmine database, going, "Hi, before this goes online, do you want to view it? It's this, and this in the Arabian Ranches," and you book 5 or 10 viewings before it even hits the internet. Which is crazy.
Wild. Okay, so I've got some lettings numbers. Average lettings price, or rental price, last was 198,000. 1% decrease quarter on quarter. Again, not really a true reflection of the marketplace. Again, quieter quarters, quite a quarter in general. But lettings prices year on year up just shy of 15%.
I think the 198,000 is maybe what we're renting.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know any people that they're going to pay 15,000, 16,000 dirhams a month for rent on average to be a single, like what single
No,
occupancy.
that's an average. Of course, there's going to be rental properties.
I just wonder. I mean, I haven't got the stats to back it up, but when I used to own in Sport City, you'd get one beds for 50, 60,000 in canal residences. I just wonder if them units are still around now, or what price they're going. I can imagine them touching nearly 100 for a one bedroom in Sport City, which is wild.
Crazy. Over a third of transactions, and anyone that's not living in the UAE, mine will be blown that we still actually deal with checks over here. So rental payments are made in form of checks, multiple check rate payments. More than a third of deals that happen in Dubai last month or last quarter were 4 or more checks, which tells me if rental prices are at an all-time high, landlords are having to be flexible on their frequency of payments to get the higher prices.
You say that, I don't want to be the one to show off, but I got one check on my one Zabil.
Yeah.
And this is the honest answer. I didn't ask for that. I didn't even put the amount of checks. They just sent an offer saying they'd pay a 2-year lease and they'd pay one check. So I think, and I don't understand why you'd do that, but maybe people just want to secure themselves for the year and it's done.
Yeah, it's paid for what it's doing. I mean, you could have gone back and said, I'll take 800.
You'd be the one
checks.
to do 15 checks and I'd be the one to do one check going home.
Okay. Obviously, we've got some data here from the Dubai Land Department. So overall sales that took place is 1.3 billion. And that total increase was 27.8% year on year. So the actual number of property value increased, and the volume is up 41%. So property value is increased, and the volume of total transactions happening across Dubai is just.
Where does it stop? Because everything that goes up, I'm not saying goes down, but must stabilise at worst case scenario.
Look, I've mentioned this in a previous podcast. Interest rates should have controlled the market. And the last time the market got controlled, it was down to 2014, where there was measures come in to reduce the loan to values and also double the transfer fees. So there are mechanisms that probably can be put in place to slow it down. Do they want to slow it down? Probably not. A black swan moment, which we hope doesn't ever happen. Something you never see coming.
Which could happen.
Like 2008, like the financial crisis, it could happen. But right now, the fundamentals are Dubai. There's so many people wanting to move into country because of its safety, because of its, because of its tax-free environment. And the reality is, again, I said this in a previous podcast. I want to bore on about it, but I bought a couple of properties in Manchester and Birmingham at £650 per square foot. What is that in dirhams?
2,000.
About 2,000, 2,500 dirhams per square foot.
You get a marina unit for that.
That is still cheap. The average price square foot across Dubai is 1,400 square foot, dirham square foot. So it's still half of what you could get in Manchester and Birmingham. And they're not listening. Off plan, massive part of the marketplace. 65% of most of the deals at the minute are actually happening in off-plan sales. We're actually seeing a 64% increase in volume versus last year, which again is just crazy, and a 44% increase in actual value of off-plan properties sold in the last year. So far in the first 2 quarters, there's 22,000 units launched, which for me is still very, very low.
Yeah, agreed.
Very, very, very low. Villa sales made up 8,500 off-plan and 37,000 apartments. So again, most of the things being sold and launched, apartments. What's going on in the news? What's happening in the news at the minute? Because we did talk about money. It just seems like...
I mean, look, people have obviously been away. There's just not a lot happening. I mean, I think we talked about it before. There's a report we put out 3 weeks ago that just appeared in the news today for something. So I think people are just getting back into the swing of things. The main thing in the news at the moment is the interest rates. Developers are launching, but if I'm honest with you, I'm not seeing loads of launches. No. I'm seeing a few, and it's still an okay capacity. But I think Dubai is just ticking by, which is a nice place to be.
What do you think of Ras Al Khaimah? Because I'm seeing, supposedly in 2 years' time, Q4 2026, all developers need to be in a position of handing stuff over. My off-plan guy yesterday put a video out saying, what does everyone think of that marketplace? And let's put a scenario. 2 years' time, there's probably going to be, I'm guessing now, so don't quote me on this, 40 to 50,000 units all at one time come to the market.
It's going to be an empty place to be. Look, I think Ras Al Khaimah is what I'd call, and it's, forgive the pun, a roulette investment. It is. You know, we bought Nobu 3 beds on the water when they came out, and I think we paid 3,500 dirham a square foot for them. For me, that is insanely expensive for Ras Al Khaimah, which is currently a fishing village. You know, it's an amazing place, but it's very empty. It's not Dubai. It's up and coming. They're investing, but you're buying into a vision. You know, the reality is, why have we bought there? We've bought there because it has the Nobu and the Winner's there, which has got billions of dollars invested. We've bought into the vision of it being a Las Vegas strip where it's a social environment, the boats park, people gamble, they go to the next place, it's a weekend place. Whether or not that happens is absolutely up in the sky because people need to buy into it. The projects need to sell out. That, you know, developers need to complete their projects. The infrastructure of Ras Al Khaimah for the island needs to be on the money. And the final thing is that I think the price per square foot for Ras Al Khaimah is overinflated. And that's the honest truth.
I think people got carried away with casino come in.
I think developers have.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, someone offered me a studio in Ras Al Khaimah and it was like 2 million dirhams. And I said, mate, I can buy in Business Bay today for 2 million dirhams a studio. You can't offer me a studio at it's like 2,500, 3,000 dirhams a square foot. You can buy in downtown. Now a ready unit that yields an income and is next to the mall and is ready now. So there is a lot of question marks about it. Do I think people make money there? Yes, I do. But we are jumping fully into a vision, and that's about it.
That maybe if you're buying and you're expecting to make money on it, maybe don't think immediately when it hands over that's going to be your opportunity, because there's going to be so many units that might come to market that you compete in. So if you're buying somewhere, make sure it's a grade A development, and make sure you buy it at the right price, and maybe have the view where if you can rent it for a couple of years, where kind of the initial excitement goes down a little bit.
What excites me in the UAE at the moment, I'm looking forward to seeing it this month, to be honest with you, is the J1 project. So J1, for anyone that don't follow the property or Dubai market, is I think it's 12 beach clubs. All where, do you know the Le Mer beaches? Place. So the Le Mer beach, they knocked it down and they had all restaurants on the front and everything else. They've knocked it down and turned it into J1 beach. And they've got like Bayolet from France. They've got all these amazing cool beach clubs all clubbed together in like one location. So it's going to be like a super beach club location. And that hands over in 2 or 3 weeks. So places like that, and then you live in Le Mer or you live somewhere else, you are in an incredible location. I think that's going to be a very, very popular tourist destination.
I give you 4 million dirhams today. Where would you buy to live in?
To live in?
Yeah.
Okay, so
let's look at the 2 things. Lewis Allsop pre-kids.
Yeah.
And Lewis Allsop now with a family. Where are you buying?
Now, if you gave me 4 million it was to live in, I'd buy in Parkin shares, which is a pre-IPO.
Okay, we're not talking about shares.
I think it's important people know this. Pre-IPO, Parkin, Dubai government company, all the public parking spaces, they launched 12 weeks ago. They're up nearly 100% or more.
Okay, let's say not everyone's a parking investor.
Okay,
you got 4 million to buy a house.
Yeah,
Lewis Allsop family. Dad, 2 kids, and then Lewis also pre-children and wife.
Family, 2 kids. I'll tell you when they were there, I went to Golden Mile 4. And me and George went in there. We had this massive croissant, that super croissant and coffee and things like that. And we walk in front. Do you know why I really loved it and why my head thought to that straight away? I like Golden Mile because you've got the outdoor amenities. So you've got the restaurants on the walking track and running track.
Yeah.
People are taking their dogs, which you'll be happy with, having their coffees with their dogs. You've got the parks. But you can also access the beaches. So I love that whole family. So 4 million dirhams, I'd probably look at a 2 or 3 bed in Golden Mile.
And that's with your family or on your own?
With my family.
Yeah. And what about on your own? Where would you be?
For 4 million?
Yeah.
How old am I?
You are 25.
Dubai Marina. I'm going to Dubai Marina. I'm looking for a 1 bed. I might be able to get one in the 1 JBR, anywhere around there that have beach facilities, sea facilities, get on the jet skis and boats at the weekend, disco.
You showing your age there.
And then, so I think Marina is still going to be a key point for short-term lettings, holidays, hotels. It's still going to be a key player, and it will, for the day Dubai is open.
finally, last 3 months this year, Q3, apart from Christmas and Mariah Carey,
Yeah.
what can you expect?
It's really boring to say it, but 3 to 5% growth over the next quarter. Launches, transactions. It's the only thing I say to everybody, and I say on every podcast. I sound boring saying it. Everyone's moving here. Everyone's looking for a house, and it's just active. It's an anomaly to the rest of the world at the moment. I see houses in London at the moment. They stay on for 2 months, over 10 million dirhams, and they don't move. Houses here move because there is just buyers here. I did the podcast with Neil Petch from Virtuzone last month, and he was saying the same thing as me. The businesses are opening up. There are multinational businesses bringing their bases here, which is bringing more people, which in turn is keeping the property market in a very good place. One day I'm going to have a podcast with you and say the market's not in a great place, so this is what you need to do. But all I can summarise is Christmas is coming and so is the property market. It's a good place to be.
Okay, well, on that note, taking care of business, we're here. Make sure you tune in, subscribe, like, comment, do anything to help us encourage to do more content for you. And on that note, have a good week.